Endorphins are neuropeptides from the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. They cross the blood-brain barrier and head into the opioid receptors to block pain and create feelings of euphoria. And if anything I said resonates inside your head, then tune on in to the Endorphin Report.
Welcome to the Endorphin Report. I'm Daniel.
I'm Cynthia.
And this is a podcast about romantic movies and what they could do for us as far as endorphins. I love romantic movies. Cynthia loves romantic movies. And Cynthia brought to me the concept of endorphins, as in what movies give you endorphins. Can you say more about that? We like to introduce it at the beginning of every episode.
So endorphin sprinkles, as I call it, are when you get happy little feelings from watching cute moments in movies, like when people kiss or they have a sweet moment or a nice stare. And I get little happy endorphin sprinkles coming down on my brain that make me happy.
And by a nice stare, you don't mean like a staircase, like a...
No staircases, not just like one nice stare on a staircase. They can be on a stair staring at each other.
You should probably watch your feet as well.
Yes, but that's why they're actors. They get paid a lot so they don't fall down the stairs while they're doing a scene staring at each other walking downstairs.
Right, and you have some favorite staring actors, as I recall.
Oh, yes. James McAvoy.
James McAvoy.
Good stares.
Which movies does he do the best staring in?
Penelope. Super stare.
Isn't that the one where Christina Ricci has a pig nose?
As a pig nose. Super stare.
Okay.
Atonement.
Or in The Last King of Scotland, does he give a stare to
I didn't see it was
dictator
too
of
violent.
Uganda?
It makes me squeamish.
He's suspended by hooks at the end in his body.
This is not endorphins. That is not endorphiny. No.
That's not what you're looking for in a movie.
No. Oh, no. That movie is not. Nope. It totally would cancel out all endorphins. It would just like, oof. No.
Anyway, the movie today is Always Be My Maybe, which is a Netflix film from 2019 starring Ali Wong and Randall Park. I was very excited to see this one because it seemed like one I might really like. It's high budget. It's got two extremely charismatic, very funny leads.
I recommend to see it first if you actually want to see like a good, sweet, funny rom-com. It's a pretty enjoyable film, so I do recommend it to people.
I would say there's some endorphins for sure. I'm not sure that the romance worked for me, but we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
In this podcast, we talk about the plot of the movie. We talk about some segments afterwards, like, will they make it as a couple? And ooh versus ew, which is how do they woo each other? And what seems like a creepy versus a actually appealing way to do it. And the story of us, which is how our romance with each of the leads would go, me and Cynthia personally. And finishing it up with the all-important endorphin report. Should you watch this movie for the endorphins? Is the question.
Which I heard just totally give away. But you know, it's worth it. It's worth being like, watch it.
Yeah, no, still listen to the rest of this podcast.
But if you don't want to watch it, totally fine. Not everybody's into rom-coms. It's fine.
Okay, you're giving people permission not to watch
Everyone's allowed to watch what they want. If somebody does want to watch a sweet rom-com that's, nice, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah. But if you want to see James McAvoy suspended by hooks instead, watch The Last King of Scotland. So, the plot. We open in San Francisco 20 years ago.
People live in large homes there, and we've got let's say they're like 9 or 10. The leads are Sasha and Marcus, and they're little kids at the time. And Sasha's parents are working all the time, so she's home alone a lot. And Marcus invites her over to his house because his family kind of like looks after her too. His family's Korean. I think she's Chinese. His family shows her how to like do kind of authentic cooking, kind of like cooking techniques, and like kind of gets her into it, and they hang out. And they show kind of a montage of the kids just like having a good time like throughout their childhood, basically, like being best friends.
They go on like a date kind of thing too.
They're 9. You don't have dates when you're 8.
Well, but it kind of is shot like a date. Like they go to an amusement park.
Time.
They go fishing together as they get older.
Yeah, so they're hanging out, and then they kind of fast forward to like 2003 where they're supposed to be 18, and it's the actual actors who are in their 30s, but she's wearing braces, and they just make his hair fluffy, so that's kind of funny. And then sadly, his mother, who he's very close to, dies in an accident. And, they have a funeral, and he and her and his family are all devastated. And she tries to later on eventually cheer him up when he's kind of in the grief stage. So she invites him out, and they go hang out in a car, his kind of grungy car, listening to music.
D'Angelo, specifically.
She kind of leans in and kisses him at a point. And they're 18, so they end up in this car having incredibly awkward, legs everywhere, cramped sex in this old car that was really uncomfortable looking. And then afterwards, they do the most awkward cuddle.
And they go to Burger King.
And then they kind of are hella awkward and don't know what to do with each other.
And she calls him an asshole. Well,
they start kind of fighting. She's like, I know you're sad about your mother, but I miss her too. And he's like, you don't know anything about it. Just because your family doesn't care about you that much doesn't mean you're going to kind of steal mine. Something around that. Then they get pissed and they both walk off and they don't talk again. And then they flash forward to 2019.
And they're both in their mid-30s at least.
And then she's in LA, and she's basically a celebrity chef, and she's running fancy restaurants, and she's dating kind of a brand manager for celebrity chefs who's attractive, but very just kind of into looks. They pose and look beautiful on the red carpet together, but then they're awkward together, when they're in their car, and he just looks at his phone all the time.
It's Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah.
Very handsome man.
Yeah. And then Marcus hasn't gone to college after his mother's death. He's basically stoned, living with his father, working in heat and AC. And his dad's pretty cool, and they hang out, and he feels like he's his dad's caretaker, which I am guessing is supposed to be diabetes, but if it is, he's totally giving the injection wrong. They show him, giving it to him, and I'm like, no, you gave it to the muscle. It has to be subcutaneous.
Yeah, but his life is not going that well.
He's kind of stuck. But his dad's cool. He's kind of just chilling.
Sasha comes to San Francisco to open a new restaurant.
Hottie Pants Magoo fiance decides he wants to postpone their wedding because he's like, you know what, I got offered to be in India for 6 months or more. So how about we take a break in our relationship? That'll make us a better couple later, or we can really know we want to be together. So he wants to be on a relationship break, and she's kind of agrees to it, but is not thrilled.
And later we see that he's dating Padma Lakshmi, for example.
Yes. She's like, he's fucking dating Padma Lakshmi.
Although, as we'll find out, she doesn't do too bad on that front either.
So she ends up going to San Francisco to open a restaurant, which means she is staying at this most ginormous house ever for San Francisco that is overlooking the bay in 2019. And I was like, is she Oprah? This would be a $100 million house.
Yeah, and she's renting it for one person.
She's renting it for 6 months for one person in San Francisco.
She has no entourage staying there either.
Nothing. She's just her, and she's evidently getting AC or something installed there. I don't know why they would have that, but when they are doing it, they call Marcus's dad and him, and she and Marcus have kind of an awkward hello again, kind of like an exes meeting. And then later when he's installing it, she is on the phone and he knows her fake voice versus her real voice. He does know her, even though it's been 20 years.
Right, because he knew her at 18.
Yes. And then her dad invites her to see his son's, Marcus's band that he's still in, called Hello Peril. So he's like, you should come, and he's like, I don't know why you guys never got together. And then Marcus is like, Dad. She ends up going to his band because she's kind of lonely in her place all by herself. He's got a band that has been at the same venue that's a tiny venue forever, and he's really afraid of trying new things. It took him a year to try cold brew coffee.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, we should get the band into bigger venues, and he's like, nah, I like this venue.
It turns out to be a rap band.
At least a band where he does rap in it. I don't know how to classify it. I'm not great with music, but yeah.
Yeah.
But she loves it. She loves his music. She thinks he's great. She's a celebrity chef, but she remembers him and she's like, oh my God, I love your stuff. And at the place, she meets his girlfriend, who's basically this free spirit yoga Asian woman with dreadlocks, which both of them are still how do you even get dreadlocks with her hair?
Yeah, they've been dating for 6 months, her and Marcus.
And you could tell no one likes her. None of his friends like her.
Yeah, She considers them to be married, but he does not.
No, she's just like, we are emotionally, spiritually married. And she tells a celebrity chef that she should cook for her, and she serves her basically like rice and cut up like hot dogs. That Sasha and Marcus are both like, ugh.
And Sasha literally doesn't finish it.
Yeah, like the woman like hand feeds Marcus, and he just is kind of spits it out to the side a little.
By the way, celebrity chef Sasha, I was short a few teeth for certain reasons, and my wife kept making me say that phrase because it sounded funny with lacking teeth. Celebrity chef Sasha. Now I can say it almost perfectly.
Chef Sasha, that is a tongue twister.
Try saying it 3 times fast. It's not easy.
Gosh, especially with missing teeth. My gosh. Celebrity chef Sasha. Yeah, that is hard.
Yeah. Oof. See, it's not just me.
No, it's not.
But it's a lot easier now.
Oh, yeah.
So they start flirting on Facebook a lot.
So yeah. Oh, and he drives her in his car that he has to literally break in to drive. He's so stuck in his ways, he drives the same car. Like, since they were 18 and having sex in the backseat of that.
Yep.
And then she and Marcus basically then go to kind of like a Chinese restaurant. They kind of just chat and kind of enjoy the food. Oh, and they just talk about their desires in life. She wants a baby and things like that.
I think that's where his dad is talking to him and saying, you should go for it. Like, there's no one else like her. His dad is really pushing hard on this thing.
Yeah, his dad's like, your girlfriend sucks. He's just like, she's great. You're great together. Get together.
They seem to have jumped directly into, friendship. At least from her perspective, she's using him for emotional support immediately.
Yeah, no, they totally are like, they're texting all the time. They're kind of really back into it, they were just so used to being each other's buddies for so long. So they have a lot of banter together. But he decides to kind of bring something up to her. Granted, he still has this sucky girlfriend at the time. But he's going to tell her, hey, or I don't know, maybe he's going to be like, I have feelings, or what do you think? And then she's like, oh my God, I met somebody last night. It was amazing. And I had all this amazing sex, and I have a hickey, and look at this, and we should do a double date. It was so amazing.
Uh-huh.
And then they go to the funniest spoof of a contemporary high-concept restaurant that I loved, where, like, they just serve them, like, sugar bubbles, and, like, it's just so up its ass. It's great. And he is sitting with his girlfriend and her, and then who comes out? Keanu fucking Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves.
So yeah, this is a very, very funny celebrity spoof of himself.
Oh, he's so in on. He's so committed to it. It's awesome.
I love the part where he says, do you have anything that plays with the concept of time?
When he's ordering food, he's kind of this guy who acts like he's so self-important, but, says like deep lines, but super believing it, and just kind of casually name dropping. He'll say things like his girlfriend, I wrote this down, Marcus's girlfriend is like, oh my God, I'm so starstruck. And he looks at her and he's like, the only stars that matter are the ones you look at when you dream. He's just deep Keanu. So he's great. He's just like a total Keanu lunatic in this.
But yeah, things break extremely bad, which ends up with Keanu Reeves and Marcus getting into a fist fight in a hotel suite.
Yes. And
Keanu Reeves ending up staying with Marcus's girlfriend, who turns out to just be a starfucker and not...
They have all these, like, banter of kind of truth or dare, or, like, they say, who was your first crush? And Keanu Reeves says Mother Teresa. And then Sasha says, Marcus was my first crush. I had a crush on him for 18 years when we were friends. Like, I was really into him.
Yes, that's important.
So...
But they're severely drunk. He's just had a fist fight with Keanu Reeves.
He punched Keanu Reeves in the face because Keanu Reeves was like, hit me. Keanu Reeves literally breaks a vase over his head as part of a dare.
Yeah.
They basically are like, okay, Keanu's a little unhinged here.
I have written down, you're scared. That's something that's said in the Uber riding back.
Oh, Keanu's like, I'm going to call you an Uber.
Yeah.
And then they start yelling at each other in the Uber. And she's like, you're scared to do anything. And he's like, you're not having a fulfilling life because you're just busy all the time. And then they just have a break. He like kisses her and they start making out and they start getting really in on it. And then they pan out and you see it's an Uber pool with like another guy who's like, my street's over here. Thanks.
But yeah, they end up sleeping together, waking up in the bed.
Oh, yeah, they get it on in that big house of hers. Oh, yes.
That would be great. There's a lot of rooms you could use. It's a rental.
Yeah.
You don't have to clean it up necessarily.
He's got great dexterity. He's like carrying her up the stairs. It's good.
He carries her up the stairs.
Oh, yeah. At some point, I think he carries her
turns out to
up.
have an amazing torso when he takes off his shirt.
Yes, they get some sex appeal on him, and he, like, rips his shirt off, and he is not that confident a guy, but he is confident when he is getting some. So, yeah. And instead of them having the most awkward sex after, they show them being like, holy crap, that was amazing. Right. So that's good. They went from, like, super awkward sex to sex in a mansion. That's a nice flip around.
So then there's straight up dating, which I like in a rom-com where it shows, like,
they're just so happy.
Not just getting to the point of getting together, but also, like, dealing with being together.
Yes. They're, like, having a good time. They are dating. She's loving his band. She's supporting him. She's telling this woman next to him, she's like, you like my boyfriend? I'll grab your social security number and I'll mess up your life.
He takes her to a restaurant. She says, thanks for reminding me how it feels. Home.
Yeah, they feel at home with each other because they just know each other, and she can, I think, be really authentic with him. So I think that's what she's missing. I mean, she's a celebrity working with a bunch of douchey people all the time, I'm sure. So that's sweet. So they're having a good time, but then they go to a red carpet, and he obviously doesn't fit in because he doesn't know how to be around red carpety people, and he ends up being given a coat to put on that a guy had died in at the event in the past. You know, he's just not feeling comfortable, and he's a guy who doesn't even want to try new things, so this is very out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, someone offers him a quail egg parfait as free food, and he doesn't even want to try that.
And so he's kind of grumpy about stuff, where he used to, like, hold her purse, and he's kind of like, I don't know about this. So then when she's like, I'm going to go to New York, you should come with me, he's kind of like, I don't know. And they kind of bicker. Finally, she's just like, look, I love you. I want to be with you, but you need to tell me if you're, like, not into this. And he's like, I don't want to go to New York. And then they're sad.
Yeah, they break up at that point, essentially.
He's like, I have to stay for my dad. I have to stay for my band. Like, kind of misusing excuses.
And his dad is like, don't stay for me.
So basically, Marcus is having a rough time. He bombs this audition he was supposed to do. He's just having it rough.
Like, really bombs it. Like, he's on stage.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Like, they go way too far with that.
But he then calls her to apologize. She's in New York, and he's leaving her messages, and he's like, I want to talk. I'm really sorry. He's moving out of his dad's house. He's able to sell merch for his band online and get some money. What kind of convinces him to make a big gesture is he goes into her restaurant in San Francisco, and she's not there, and he goes into her office to talk to somebody, and he sees that it was her that bought all his merch because she was trying to support him.
So he's still kind of a loser. Like, nobody really bought any.
Still nobody. But, you know, it's fine. There's not a lot of money where he's at right now. So he's kind of like, I'm going there. And he bumps into a really fancy store. He's like, I want to buy this suit. And they're like, it's $12,000. And he's like, nope. He goes to Suits and Stuff and buys a $200 suit.
And then he shows up at a red carpet for her opening in New York City, right?
Yep. On the red carpet, he sticks his head out amongst the reporters, just kind of like in Notting Hill, they do that too, where, like, Hugh Grant does a speech to Julia Roberts from the reporters.
You're like an encyclopedia of this. You can cross-reference. Yep. I see you as a talking head in one of these Netflix documentaries.
As you can see in this, reminiscent of this. But he's like, look, I want to hold your purse. I want to be with you. I want to have family. Like,
I want to be where you are.
I want to be where you are. He doesn't care that he'll be the second person in the relationship in terms of career. Like, he knows he's just going to have to follow her around and do whatever she has to do. But he's like, that's okay. I want to be with you. And then they make out in front of all the cameras and her parents. Then she brings him to the restaurant she opened, which was opened in honor of his mother, with comfort food instead of all her high concept food she was doing before. And they all kind of, like, kiss each other. And then they end with him writing a song about how he punched Keanu Reeves.
So on to Will They Make It?
Will they make it? Well, I definitely think they'll make it because they're just very sweet. One point is what happens next in the relationship.
Sweet? You describe them as sweet.
They're sweet.
They're kind of mean to each other.
They can be, but they're sweet together. Like, their montage where they're dating or kissing, and he just looks at her, and you can tell they're, like, sweet together, and they kiss, and they're just, like, you can tell they really like being around each other.
Okay, I don't think they're going to work at all, and here's why.
Okay.
Neither of them has any respect for what the other one does.
No! She totally said she loves his band. She loves what he does. She thinks he can make it bigger. And he's like, I'm in. I'll support the things you want to do.
Okay, but she is a high-end chef, high-end restaurants. He thinks what they do is garbage.
But then she opens up a comfort food restaurant, and she says that she realizes she wants to make less high concept-y and more food that makes people happy.
But that's her passion, though, as well. Like, she also loves the high concept stuff, whereas the movie...
Yeah, she does, but she also realizes the value.
Both he and the movie think that high-end cooking is garbage.
That is very true. That is very true. But he also grounds her a bit because he reminds her of... She literally is eating in a Chinese restaurant with him. She's like, oh, this place was garbage. And then she eats, she goes, oh my God, this is actually amazing. He's like, you just looked down on it because you didn't like your childhood. He kind of reminds her of how some things are amazing, even if they're not high-end. So he does add a grounding level to her.
He's not interested in food in that respect. Like, he likes the things that he likes, but being a celebrity chef is about innovating, too. It's about taking chances of being kind of weird and artsy.
I'm not into early stage drug therapeutics, but I'm still married from like my husband, you know?
That's
like
a good point. You don't talk about it for hours.
You don't have to talk about it all the time. He understands that she's going to have to work a lot. He's accepted that. He knows that. And he, I think he will need to do something, but he will be also raising their children. So that is something he will be doing because they're going to have kids. And he's definitely going to be the more parent there in terms of she'll be working a lot more. They'll have a nanny because she's rich, but you know.
Okay, so you think that he could be happy in this role of just following her around?
Yeah, he knows he's signing up for it. It might be a little hard to adjust to, but at the end, he's like, I know I'm going to be scared, and it's going to be hard for me out of my comfort zone, but I want to be with you. So they do address that she's grounding her more. He is going to be the more heavy lifter of the one who has to be flexible in their relationship.
How do we know this isn't just him being more of a stick in the mud?
Well, he flew to New York.
Yeah, but just so he could keep their friendship kind of unchanged.
He flew out there and he literally like went and bought a suit that wasn't his prom suit, was the only suit he had owned before, was his prom thing that he wears to his high concept restaurant. I think he even asked Keanu Reeves for like suit recommendations. Like, oh, he also moves out of his house. He gets an apartment. He starts going to new venues. He's doing things he hadn't done before. Like he's trying to grow.
But I think he's going to snap back and be just like a real grumpy stick in the mud and just be bitching about all of her celebrity friends and all of the fancy stuff that he has to deal with and everything about the life. He has this fundamentally complaining stick in the mud side to him that I'm not sure.
He does. That is true.
That is
true.
Well.
Agreed. It's not perfect. And yes, they're going to have a lot of fights. He might also ground her more. Her life is not that satisfying for her. She's sad a lot and she's alone.
True.
So
they're both kind of ready to make a change.
She might tone down on it because she realizes it's not making her happy. And he points that out to her and she's like, yeah. So, you know, she might get less into the thing. She's already had sex with Keanu Reeves. She's done it. You know, she can tone down and just chill out a little more now.
That's the peak. You're not going to do better than that. She says the sex with Keanu Reeves is amazing.
He's like, amazing. And he like sees her and he grabs her and he's like, I missed your light. I missed your soul. And
well, maybe that could be ooh versus ew.
Okay, yeah.
Keanu Reeves saying, I missed your light.
Yeah, kind of verse. Ooh, I missed your light. And the whole time, Marcus's face is just like, oh, God.
They don't do a ton of wooing of each other. They mostly rely on that kind of chemistry that they had by knowing each other really well.
Yes, they basically know each other very well. They have a little bit of a rough to get together of where literally that she just kisses him in a car. Both times, they both have these parallels. They both kiss each other in a car when they get together each time, awkwardly during conversation.
Yeah. She
kind of makes a proclamation how she loves him outside a building, and then he makes a proclamation to her on the red carpet where he hated that before. One ew is I do not like rom-coms with public speeches that they do in front of everybody. I'm like, ew.
Interesting.
No, just talk to me in private. I don't need you to say it in front of everybody. Ew, ew, ew. I don't like that part. I kind of cringe a little.
Especially since she's on camera and it's going to be news of some kind.
Yeah,
it puts a lot of pressure on her.
I don't like that thing. Ugh. Also, usually they're doing it when they were not happy together. Can you imagine if you did that and the person said no? It means you just looked like a crazy stalker man.
Right. You'd probably be taken down by Secret Service.
Yes. Like you crash somebody's work event and you're like, I love you. And then they're like, remove them from with security. You know, it's like, no.
Yeah. She cooks for him is one thing. Like cooks home stuff.
Yeah, she cooks for him. Ooh, they both like walk around and have a good time together.
He looks cool on stage, even though it's like a really small venue with a lot of people who've been coming there often and know them. But it's kind of the ideal situation for him to look like a badass.
Yeah, they show he's confident in his own places. He's a person who, like, on stage, he's very confident and knows what he's doing. They show in the bedroom he's confident when he's not 18.
He says something about, I've learned a few tricks since then.
Yeah, so that's good. I'm glad that they have them, like, have good sex together, the second time. That they've both grown and they're both doing better. Yeah, they don't do a lot of wooing tactics for each other. They just kind of hang out and then it awkwardly or organically happens.
They bust each other.
They bust each other a lot. So they're just busting each other's chops a lot, but they also are just like, they kind of are just natural around each other.
Any other ooh versus ew?
I guess, yeah, not a lot of wooing, but evidently Keanu Reeves just being Keanu Reeves is enough to woo her. Which is a lot of ew, just of them being like, you're light, my soul. And she's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, him being him is just enough to woo her. Yeah. And just being intense. He's even wearing glasses that don't have lenses in them. He's just like, hey.
For a role.
Yes.
So he's got to learn how to wear glasses.
He's got to learn how to wear glasses.
Okay, the story of us.
Yes.
Is another segment. So this is for each of the main characters, how us personally, and you can imagine if you were romantically attracted to women, and if I was romantically attracted to men, whether we would date these people and what that would be like.
Yes. So Randall Park, the character in the movie.
Marcus.
If I was single, like the late 20s, I guess I wouldn't mind. He's a sweet, funny guy. I think I would probably date him for a few months. And then I would probably get a little annoyed by him being kind of a stick in the mud. Or, he drives a car he used to break into every time. I'd be like, dude, you gotta, like, grow up. So I think in my mid-20s, his weight, where he's at in his life would have been fine for me. And he's a sweet, funny guy. So I would have dated him for a little while in my mid-20s.
He probably had quite a revolving door of girlfriends for a while there. Like people where he didn't even have to break up with them. But, he looks cool on stage. He knows San Francisco really well. He's great for a little while. And then
yeah, he's a nice guy.
You get bored.
Yeah, but he's quite the stick in the mud, which would get frustrating after a while. Yeah, you'd be like, dude, just try this drink. And he go, I don't want it. You're like, well, let's go to this restaurant. He's like, I don't want to try that. But that would just get annoying. So, and he's giving insulin totally wrong to his father. So I'd be like,
so
dude.
He's killing his father.
Come on, dude. So yeah, I would just date him for a little while. I would not want to date Sasha because she's just too high-powered, working all the time, high-powered moving around. Not my thing. No, I need somebody chiller than me. Obviously, I can be a little high energy. I do not want to date somebody with the same energy. I went on a date with somebody who, like, spoke as fast as I did, and it was exhausting. No.
So wait, you need a break from your own speed of talking? That's why this podcast works well.
You can't have somebody who matches you. It's so tiring. You need to have somebody who's chill.
All right. For myself, also, I feel the same way. Marcus is a pretty sweet guy. I'll bet he knows San Francisco incredibly well. Like, I'd love for him to just take me to all his favorite restaurants. Like, I'll bet he knows where to find the best burrito in San Francisco. Like, he just has a pride in his neighborhood and has some good friends, although he desperately betrays them partway through. But yeah, he has that extremely narrow-mindedness. But honestly, his rapping is not good. Not good at all, I would say. I would say it's like Fresh Prince level rapping.
I agree. But she loves it too. So that's the thing, is she's super into it too.
If it gets a girl, then it's worthwhile there. So, Sasha. So she's an incredibly impressive person. Like,
yes.
She is unbelievably hot. She has a sparkly dress that she wears at one point that is mind-blowing. I love the glasses. And she, is incredibly funny too. Like, she's mean and funny in a great way. Incredibly quick-witted, obviously talented. Like, seeing her cook was really impressive. She wears a lot of very silly-looking toques in this movie. But winter hats, as you Americans would say.
It was like, I have no idea what that is.
She has fun, like, slumming it as well. But besides the fact that I'm a lot closer to Marcus than I am to her as far as, like, appreciation for fanciness and high society and celebrity culture and so on, there's a part when she has that meal. So Jenny, Marcus's girlfriend, invites her over for this meal. And apparently it's terrible, right? She takes one bite of it and it tastes bad. and then she stops eating. But Jenny specifically invited her over to have her cooking. And it's like, how can you insult somebody like that? Like, that's just pure meanness.
They're trying to show that it's very, very minimally inedible.
Like, how bad could it be? Like, I bet Gordon Ramsay, Anthony Bourdain, whoever, if they accepted an invitation to eat, they'd be polite about it.
Okay, so you are her right now, okay?
Uh-huh.
She's given you this rice with cut up hot dog. The rice is cooked with olive juice, peanut butter, cream cheese, maple syrup, ketchup, and then she drizzled some hot fudge around it too. Wait, no, we have to make it a level grosser. And then she put sriracha sauce on it as well with a little dab of toothpaste. Are you going to eat all of it?
No, but I eat more than one bite, is all I'm saying. So I think there's a fundamental snobbishness going on there. Hopefully he'll help her with that.
Basically, you're not going to date either of them, but you will let Sasha cook for you a few times to go on a date.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So you're gonna go on a date with her for her food.
I will hang out and smoke weed with Marcus for sure.
Cool, but doesn't sound like you want to pursue a romantic relationship with him.
No, just a fling.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. The endorphin report.
Endorphin report.
Endorphin report. So, where did you find endorphins?
Oh, I have a list of my endorphins.
Oh, great.
Oh, they kiss in the car when they're in the Uber pool. They kiss and they get into it, and that's some endorphin sprinkles when they're in their house.
You could feel the adrenaline because he just fought Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yes. So they're just... Oh, and he also found out that she has had a crush on him forever.
He didn't know she had a crush.
He didn't know. And so he's like, why didn't you ever say anything? Like, he's kind of rethinking, like, what they could have done. And usually it's a little gross if, like, people are childhood forever and then they get together. But they haven't seen each other for 20 years. So that really puts a space bar in that. We have them kissing in the car. Endorphins. Then we have them getting it on in the house. Oh, great endorphins. He's, like, carrying her up the stairs. Oh, yes. Yeah. Great endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
Then... Okay, I don't like public displays of affection like they do on the red carpet, but I did like that they kissed, that they are like really happy. And then at the end they're together and she's accepting an award and her family's supporting her and he's supporting her. And then he's so happy to be at her restaurant that is in honor of his mother. And then they kiss and they're so happy. So it's all these endorphins. So it's just like endorphin, boom, 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 boom. So it's great.
Yeah, seeing her kind of mellow out and melt a lot from her brittle exterior. That was very endorphin-y for me. Like when she smiles, and feels like she can kind of relax with him around.
Yeah, so it's just so sprinkles. So they're just like they had the really like hot happy sprinkles, and then they had the really sweet sprinkles. It was nice. So I would call it sprinklicious. Yes. Okay.
I also thought that the first kiss that they had was sprinkles
when they're 18.
It was this whiplash of emotion, the grief and the intensity of that. And then to see this person that he hadn't seen as a romantic partner before. It's a
little less sprinkles for me just because it's incredibly awkward. I get it, though. Right. I like that they made something awkward when you're 18.
No, it's not at the top of the list.
It's not, but that's totally cool. I really give them props for making 18-year-old sex in a car incredibly awkward and weird. Yeah. And that is props to them. I am like,
legit.
Slow clap there.
Yeah, it is realistically awkward.
Yes. And they literally don't have room and there's legs everywhere and they're just like banging stuff. He tries to be affectionate, doesn't really know how, and they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, that rings true about not knowing how to act around the other person afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though I did not like either of them that much as people, and I don't think they have a future, I'm sorry, Cynthia.
It's okay. We can both disagree.
We can disagree. This podcast is not about always agreeing about everything.
I mean, I think we have to give him props for giving her a great sexual experience after she had sex with Keanu Reeves. That is hard.
Yeah, he beat Keanu Reeves twice that night.
He did. That is rough. He knows he's following a really big act there. Right. She literally has a hickey left over from Keanu Reeves when they're hitting it off in bed, right? Like, literally a reminder right there.
I would say it actually delivered on the endorphin front in a way a lot of things haven't, despite my reservations, and especially the reservations of the other two people in the room.
Understandable. I can hear the arguments. I get it. I think I'm just a little blinded by my sprinkles.
That's a song, I feel like.
Just
blinded by the sprinkles.
Mm-hmm. But this made me happy. And so that's
glad.
Good. That's a good day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's all for the Endorphin Report. Catch you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Then tune on in for the Endorphin Report. The Endorphin Report.